Hello there, this is David from David Books and Comics, and today we're going to look through some book haul and comic book haul. So I'll show you what I purchased just recently. Nothing too spectacular. Anyway, this is a Kigor. It's a pulp series hero that lasted for quite a few issues. Well over 30 issues of Jungle Stories. Kigor was a Tarzan type character. And this novel is Kigor novel Death Seeks for Congo Treasure. So that's that one. And I got another pulp. And that's this one. And the reason I got this one is because it features the Crimson Mask. If you don't know who the Crimson Mask is, he appeared in this series of detective novels, and I got a rare, and I've showed this before, this is a rare Canadian edition of detective novels with a unique, its own cover, and that's the 3. I have a reprint story of Crimson Mask. I know they've been reprinted, but if I find them in the wild like this, I'll buy them. So I bought this at a local comic shop in Barrie. Nice copy of this. It has a mystery novel by Sam Merwin Jr. and other mystery shorts. So detective novels. Alright, so anyway, so that's that. And I bought a couple of BLBs, Big Little books. And this is one. This is The Lone Ranger in the Great Western Span. That's that one. And that one is from 1942. This one is a later one, and it's from 1944. And this is The Lone Ranger on the Barbary Coast. All written by Franz Stryker, and it has his trademark style, I guess. I'm going to call it that. So I bought those two BLBs, and one of my greater finds for a relatively nice price was this, and that's Modesty Blaze first edition souvenir press by Peter O'Donnell. So there, and this is what the first edition's hardcovers look like, and we can look inside. Yeah, simultaneously in Canada. Doesn't say Ryerson Press, but I'm thinking that's what it was. So Souvenir Press, London. Alright, nice little find here for a relatively good value. There's Peter O'Donnell. I'm happy with that. That's that. And this was another nice find of mine. And this is number 98. Nothing too special about this story. Probably that's Mr. Gordon, I think, I suspect, on the cover there. But this one was written, I think, by Will Murray. After Sapper died in the early part, like the first, I don't know, 20, 30-ish books that was written by two people, by Sapir and Warren Murphy. After Sapir died, it was single writers that wrote it, including Murphy's wife, Molly Cochran. She wrote a few. Richard Myers wrote a few. Dean Mullaney, or I'm getting the name right, I'm not sure. he wrote one, or wrote a series of them in a later run. And who else? Oh, Will Murray wrote a bunch of them also. He also compiled one of the definitive kind of compilations and interviews with Sapir and Murphy. But it was single writers after the first, I don't know, 20, 30 issues, 30 editions of the Destroyer series, and the nomenclature here changed over time. So I now have the first 100. That was a nice find. Number 98. And I have the first 100 of all the Destroyer novels. And I showed the first 50 in quite a while ago in a previous video. And which means I can just finish off the last 50 in a video in the future. Anyway, so that's number 98. So that was a nice find for me anyways. And I also found a nice edition of this. And the reason I got this, I already have it, but I don't have the first edition. This is actually the first edition of The Lone Ranger and the Gold Robbery. I have a subsequent reprint. As you can see from this cover, that it's a lot sharper than the previous edition that I have. And just to contrast the two, you'll see this is the previous edition. And you can tell that this is a kind of reprint cover, whereas that is a lot sharper. How I know it's a first edition, for those who collect Franz Streicher Lone Rangers, is number one, you got the painted cover on the interior, the black and white painted cover, illustrated by Paul Lone. And then you have copyright 1939. But more importantly, the way to check is just look at the back, and you see that The Lone Ranger and the Gold Robbery is the last book listed. Alright, that's how you tell it's a first. If you're a collector of Lone Ranger novels, this wasn't too expensive, I'm happy to tell you. So it was well worth the find, despite the tears and so on. It is a first edition with a nice, bright, popping cover there. Alright, so that's that. Now, let me just show you the comics that I bought. And they're basically just finds that finishing off collections, but this one was not. This was one I bought at an antique shop. They had more, but this one was more within my price range. This is the American edition Modesty Blaze, number 4. It features three stories: Head Girls, Black Pearl, and The Magnified Man. They are really nice reads, really fine reads. Can't go wrong with a Modesty Blaze. Alright, so that's that. And I finished off my Volume 1 Hawkgirl collection with this one, with Superman on the cover. Great cover by Walt Simonson. Nicely drawn. And yeah, Simonson's really good with Superman and Hawkgirl and Metropolis. Alright, so that's that one. I'm happy to finish off that series. I was only missing this issue. They went from issue number 50 to number 66. A nice run of Hawkgirl comics. And I managed to finish off volume 3 of my Hawkman collection with this find. It's the last issue of the volume 3. It's called Hunter Hunted Prey, part 3 of 3. I was happy to finish off that. And I picked up a bunch of Thongors from Creatures on the Loose. These are them. There's this one. I think I've shown this before, but I don't know which ones I did show or didn't show. Anyway, that's Creatures on the Loose number 22. Cover art is by Jim Steranko. And here's a John Romita cover, John Romita Jr. This is Creatures on the Loose number 33. 23, sorry. There's number 24. '25. There's 26. That's a damaged cover there. 27. And 20. So that's that. So I managed to, I'm missing the last one in the series, which is number 29. Alright. It describes it as sword and sorcery, but it's more like Sword and Planet. But anyway, so that's that one. I also finished off my Batman Family collection, and this is with this one, number 8. A nice Catwoman cover there with Robin and Catwoman. This one features adventures of Batgirl and so on. And managed to pick up first appearance of this guy, Captain Universe, and some more Ditko goodness with this. That's Micronauts number 8, first appearance of Captain Universe. And then this one, Marvel Spotlight, features some Ditko cover and interior art with Captain Universe. Can't go wrong with a Ditko comic book. And this was a reasonably priced, easy to find Claw the Unconqueror, Sword and Sorcery, first issue of this guy. Different kind of character. Taking riding the wave, I guess, of the Conan popularity in Marvel Comics, they decided to come out with this. They also came out with, previous to this, they came out with the Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser series in a title called Sword and Sorcery. I have a few issues of those. I was happy to find a number 1 of that for a very inexpensive price. Also here is an appearance of the Spectre and Ghosts, New Tales of the Weird and Supernatural, an original short story with cover art, relatively nice cover art by Jim Aparo. I also picked up a 100-pager of Wonder Woman. Nice 100-pager of Wonder Woman with an original story, as it says here, a new novel featuring superheroine number 1. Alright, so those are those. I'll take that away. And of course, I picked up an Iron Man. That's a nice Iron Man superhero issue. And some inexpensive Phantoms from Gold Key Comics. There's that one. Notice no numbering on these things. And this one, just some more Gold Key just to fill-ins. I just love those painted covers. And I think this is number 4. There's a Gold Key Phantom. That one. And there's another Gold Key Phantom. Nice painted covers. The painted covers were done by the guy who did the paperbacks, the 14 paperbacks of the Phantom. A guy named George Wilson. All right, so that's that. And there's more. I'll just take these away. And let's see. There's this beautiful Lone Ranger cover. This one has, these are my Lone Rangers. I found a few of these. That's Clayton Moore with a beautiful train cover. It's called the Railroad issue. 10 cents. So technically still in the golden age. And this is a Silver Ager. And this is a better copy of the Lone Ranger Golden West. It's a Lone Ranger Giant. The only one I think they did, with Jay Silverheels and Clayton Moore on the cover. Lone Ranger finds Dan Reed, so it's kind of an origin account. These books, especially the early Lone Rangers, were reprints from the Dells. And here's another photo cover, and this is Clayton Moore again, The Spoil Takers. And this is one of my favorite. I was happy to find this one. It's an early 10-center Lone Ranger cover by Hank Hartman. One of his favorite covers. So great painting by Hank Hartman, a renowned American painter who painted presidents, by the way. That's Hank Hartman. Anyway, here's another one. This is with Dan Reed, the Lone Ranger's nephew. And this is a lower grade copy of this. Another 10-center. Numbers, I think, are no. Sometimes they write the numbers on the back. With Dell and Gold-Key, they never wrote numbers. And this is all intact. It's a fair copy. Good minus copy, I would say, of this. And this is another Golden Age Dell. Beautiful painted cover of this. Yeah, so that's my book haul. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this thing and this presentation of my latest book haul from some antique shops, mostly from antique shops, some from comic book shops. But I enjoyed finding these and just fill-ins for my collection. Some help to complete collections. So anyway, that's what a collector does, is he grabs what he doesn't have. All right, so thanks for watching, and feel free to make comments, and thanks for the subscriptions. We'll talk soon. Okay, bye.